Hello, and welcome to another episode of Scavenger Life. This is episode number 338 at scavengerlife.com.
So since this is a podcast about eBay, we're going to start talking about bingo.
Something completely unrelated.
This podcast is more about scavenging.
That's why it's called Scavenger Life.
Frugal lifestyle, with eBay being a very large part of that, because that really seems to be the place that is the easiest to make a living from finding stuff out in the world. But anyway, we've talked about bingo being kind of like a scavengery way of us enjoying a night out, like having a date night.
Right.
And we talked a couple weeks ago about, we went to a bingo locally, like at a fire hall.
Yeah.
And it was like, I loved it. They just passed out like little cards that had like little flip things on it. And so after the game's done, you just like start over on the same card, and it's like 50 cents a card or something.
Yeah, it's really cheap.
And and like 8-year-old kids are playing it.
And winning.
Great family fun. They like make a meal. It's beforehand. It's like $7 for like a big old thing. Like a potluck.
Fried chicken.
It's great. Well, we went to another bingo on the other side of the county, and it was so different.
It was so funny because we went in there and we were like, we have no idea what we're doing.
It's like they were speaking a different language. I mean, we entered this world that I just didn't know existed. It's basically like a Vegas bingo.
Yeah, it is.
It was also in a fire hall, but it was serious. I mean, there was like a group of men who were like running around. They sold like little scratch-off cards.
Yeah, kind of like they call them tab cards.
And they're kind of hawking these things, and each one has like a different deal. And just the bingo itself, instead of just, you buy a card for
however much,
a game,
50 cents
it's you buy a package.
Yeah.
And you can buy different packages with different kinds of games in it. And
they had a minimum. So the first bingo we went to, you could sit there and play 2 games. That was it, whatever. But this one, they were like, no, it's minimum $20 for the, basic game.
Yep. And then
it
went up from there.
It went up from there, and then, like you said, all the tab games and
again, the bingo wasn't just like simple like crisscross. It got really complicated, where there was like crazy kites and
triple postage stamp.
Yeah, I mean, it was a good thing. But the fun thing was, people were real nice.
Yeah,
everyone around us helped us.
It was so funny.
They were explaining it to us.
We were like, what's happening?
Even the people who work there, or the volunteer guys, the firefighters, would stop by and just ask if we were understanding. And it was great. It was still really a good time.
Funny. Although I will say this, if you are definitely into gambling, which I'm not, I like to play games and whatever, but it gets, the ladies in front of us were spending so much money.
So that's kind of why I brought it up. Like, this kind of bingo is not a scavengery bingo. I mean, we shared a package, so we were playing together. So that was $20.
We're cheap.
Plus, we spent $5 for the early bird, so we could start early. Then we bought dinner, so it was still about $50. But there were people, they actually pass out trash bags because people are buying so many scratch cards. They need to put them in these little bags. I bet people were spending a couple $100. It's like the people who you would see at the corner store buying scratch tickets. That's who's at these things.
I mean, I get it. People win money. That's certainly what the whole point is.
There was one person, an older woman, who won $5,000.
And it was so funny because, like, barely anyone took notice of it. It was like a side game thing, like a raffle type thing.
There were like 3 people clapping.
And like a couple people clapped, and we turned to the lady next to us, who is kind of like our friend now. And we were like, what just happened? She's like, oh, she won $5,000. And we were like, why isn't everyone standing up?
I started clapping again. I was like, let's do this. It was definitely small town in the sense of like very like low energy. Like,
very chill, very low energy.
Yeah, and like everyone knows each other, so everyone's kind of in the zone, and
everyone has like 20 bingo markers of different colors.
But it was definitely cool, and a woman who was kind of helping us, she explained there's a whole circuit. Like, you can go to bingo every single day. It's within half an hour of where we live, and there's different kinds of games at each one, and some of them you can smoke and like
You can smoke, they said?
Yeah, there was she said that, in a town on Saturday nights, like they can smoke in this. Oh, I guess because it's it's like a private club.
Oh, like because it's not like a restaurant or something. Wow, I do not want to go to that one.
Yeah. To wrap this up, it's what I was thinking is that we wanted to start doing bingo, trying to find cheap things to do because it's expensive to go out to eat. I mean,
even where we live,
to go see a movie, it's like whatever, $12 each. And so I was thinking bingo would be a cheap thing, but even the cheap bingo, it's like $50.
Yeah,
when all is said is done.
The cheap bingo, like once you have dinner. And then you've like played a bunch of games. You're just like, we just spent $50.
And I really feel like it might just be kind of inflation. I feel like it's $50 is the new $20.
That's what I think too.
Whereas when I can remember going out a lot, I could get by with $20. I think now you have to spend $50 to kind of have an evening.
Yeah, minimum.
I mean, obviously there are people who are going to write in who are like, you guys could like go to a park and like kick a soccer ball. I get it. Yeah, I mean, there's definitely things where you don't have to spend any money at all.
We do things like that. I mean, we go hiking,
take a picnic.
Like that
I get
all the time.
Sometimes it's just fun to participate in like commodity
capitalist
culture.
society.
Yeah. And so, but it just seems like it's $50 is the new buy-in. And man, God bless anyone that has a bunch of kids. Just going to. It's McDonald's. It probably costs $100 to like take 5 kids to McDonald's.
We've talked about it before on the blog, on the forum. Just people, it's tough. It's like stuff costs money, man. Everywhere.
It's rough out there.
It is. But look, we say this all the time. We always cook for ourselves. We are always, very frugal, but. It's funny to venture out and like spend money and be like, dude, that was expensive.
Well, I think too, the thing with bingo was trying to find things to do that felt homey and kind of community oriented.
Right.
So this is like not commercial. I mean, even the Vegas bingo experience, it's still like a community run event.
And you're giving money to the fire hall.
Rather than, going to Applebee's or whatever it is.
Or like a big movie theater.
Yeah, just where it feels like you're just being kind of shoved through a cattle thing. This is, you can get to meet people. Before we get into our numbers, I have a couple things I want to talk about. We just got this building up. And I just wanted to, and we were talking on a YouTube where someone was like, that's really cool. I've, in my life, I like raised kids and I didn't have a lot of money ever. And, now I'm older and, I still don't have a lot of money and blah, blah, blah. Right. I mean, it's tough. What I wanted to say was, I think what we try and do is that everything we spend, we try and make sure it's going into an asset.
Yes.
And this is really... anyone that's into like self-help books, it's the Rich Dad, Poor Dad book,
Rich Dad, Poor Dad.
Which is a super cheesy book, but it has good basic advice.
Look, I read Rich Dad, Poor Dad because everybody on Bigger Pockets mentions it 10 times a day.
And that's a site about a real estate investing.
Yeah, biggerpockets.com. It's awesome. It's great. So I read it and I was like, oh, you want to invest in assets that make you money.
Right.
That's it.
Right.
Like you didn't have to read the book.
Right.
That's what it was.
Like, you could probably read the first 10 pages and be done,
Yeah,
okay. His A Rich Dad was a dad where anything he spent was on things that would make him money at some point.
Right.
And the Poor Dad was the one that was like buying brand new cars and like vacations and, a water skis and stuff like that.
And never had.
Right. And so that's what we try and do. So when I think of, we spent a lot of money on this building, but it's an asset. So it's an asset in the sense of it's helping us with our business. And number two, if we ever sold this house and its property, that would help the value of the home.
Right, right. Those are definitely true.
But I will say, though, like this specific woman who was talking about her story, and I do see it in like the financial independence world where people are talking about how to become financially independent. And it's all about, don't spend, be frugal, put your money into index funds and save it. The thing is, you do have to make cash, and that is the kind of tricky thing. Like if you're stuck in a job where you're just making just enough to raise kids or get by, then the math just doesn't work.
Right.
And that's, I think, where kind of the eBay thing comes in for us is like, if we were trapped in a job, because I've had those jobs where like basically everything I made, I kind of spent just because I didn't get paid a whole lot of money.
It goes to rent and bills and,
So that's the thing about like starting an eBay business is just so that way you have cash outside of your daily everyday expenses, and that it's money. If you're a frugal, you can save, invest in an asset, buy real estate, index fund, it's whatever else. If your expenses every month are $2,000, and if you make $2,000, there's nothing to squeeze out of that. Like there's no extra money for assets or whatever else.
Yeah,
that's all I'm saying. Okay, let's talk briefly about a couple things other than eBay. Number one, Etsy. We've been talking about that on the its forum. Seems like every year around it's Christmas time, I see eBayers get really excited about Etsy. They've started to put some things on there, and I think it is cool because Etsy's like a gift, especially around holiday time. It's a place where people go and buy stuff for its presents. And so the idea is well, this is a great, it's a new place. Let's put stuff on there and we'll make extra cash. My thing is, its question to people is, if you list on Etsy, are you not putting as much stuff on eBay? So then you're making money on Etsy, but are you making not as much on eBay? So are you really at the end of the day making the same amount of profit? You're making it in different places. And so maybe that makes you feel more confident that if eBay dropped off, you'd have this other stream of income. Or maybe you just enjoy Etsy because it's a funner process.
Yeah.
Funner.
More fun.
Funnest.
I mean, I've tried Etsy, and I actually put some stuff on Etsy the other day because I wanted to see...
I didn't know this.
Well, I did.
Is that happening in the skunk works in the building over there?
If that's what you want to think, sure. I was like, maybe I'll put some like high-end furniture on there and just see if it gets a little more attention.
Yep.
But it's that whole thing of, look, if you're not using a system that will do it for you, like 6-bit or whatever, it is obnoxious to double list because I have to download my photos off eBay and then like come up with tags and figure out the shipping and I'm just like, you know what?
Supposedly there is a way on 6-bit where I guess it's like the database for you, so it's got all the info and it makes it easier. Right. But it's definitely not like a click it and suddenly your whole store is up on Etsy. It's not an automatic
sync, like for sure.
Yeah. I don't know. I mean, I've just seen there are people that participate in our blog who have been selling on Etsy for a couple of years now, and they're doing well. But then when they post their eBay numbers, they're really small. So I just think it's more about, they just enjoy the community over on Etsy.
Over there.
Those kind of buyers, and supposedly people say fees are cheaper,
Right, So my thought was a couple years ago when I was like, I'm going to put all this stuff on Etsy and whatever. Oh, I'm spending all this time, but I'm making, if I had spent that time on eBay, I would have made the same amount. That's what it felt like to me. And so I'm like, I'm just deleting everything off Etsy. I'm going to let it expire.
Yeah, and then that being said, so Amazon, it was the same way for us. For about 6 months, we're kind of big into Amazon. We'd say, well, let's try it, and we would send in, 10 boxes at a time, and all of our time was going into Amazon and less time on eBay. And we definitely we started making money on Amazon, but then our eBay dropped off. And really...
Yeah, you could tell.
And someone actually I've had several people strangely email me talking about, it's this thing on Amazon where you can upload a design of a t-shirt. Mm-hmm. And then people can buy it, and then Amazon will it's print it and it's ship it. And people say it's so great because then all that you do is put some upfront time into these pictures on a t-shirt, like a logo or something. And then they're up there and people just buy them. And so the funny thing is, if you sell it for $20,
right,
your cut is $2 and some change.
Yeah.
So really, you'd have to sell a whole lot of t-shirts to make any kind of cash. I guess it's passive income, but I don't know. Like people say we should make a Scavenger, an SL shirt,
right,
and do that. But I'm like, if we sold 1,000 shirts, we'd make whatever, $2,000. I don't know. I just don't think we have that big of an audience.
I mean, that's the other thing too about a Scavenger Life t-shirt. I feel like a lot of us out in the wild don't want to be identified as a reseller.
Yeah.
So I'm kind of like, I don't really want to tell. That's why I wanted to make mugs, because you just have them at home.
Right.
But with t-shirts, I'm like, I don't want people to know that I...
Yeah.
So...
I remember when we did those mugs, it was through, it's one of those companies.
It was Spreadshirt.
Yeah, and, it was the mugs were $15. I think we sold, about 100 mugs or something.
Oh, not even 100.
And we were making, $2 a mug.
Yeah, so the problem is because all the costs go to the company that makes them... Because that's where the labor, the most money.
Right.
So unless you put a super high price on it, no one wants to buy a mug for $30.
Yeah. So if you make a Scavenger shirt, just make it look cool. That's all we ask.
Yeah.
At the end of the day, it's just, I get it. And we've been through its process too. eBay's doing good. How do we break out of that? How do you make more? How do you make more money? Build your own website, do all these things.
Yeah.
For us, it's time is the one thing that we can't have, it's more of. So we either have to hire people.
Right.
Or we have to use our profits to invest in businesses that don't take as much time, like rentals, or we've talked about getting a laundromat. I think that'd be a cool idea.
I think a laundromat is a cool idea. There's a lot of upfront costs.
Or a food truck.
A food truck.
I want the food truck eBay person.
Yeah. Somebody's got to be out there that does eBay and a food truck.
But, so that's the thing, though. It's just it's kind of a puzzle, and you can't break the laws of physics, of eBay, of physics.
Yeah.
I think it's for us. We've just kind of come to a point where eBay is like our cash cow.
Yeah.
We know how much time we feel good about putting into eBay. We could put more time into it, but we don't. Want to. It seems to give us a certain amount of cash back every month, and then we take that cash and we invest it in other things.
Right.
And that makes us feel good,
Yeah. If you are feeling festive and you want to give back to the people making this podcast, you can use our Ting referral code. Ting is a mobile phone service that we love. Absolutely love them. And on the sidebar, you can click on Ting, and you get $25 off, and it gives us, I think, $25.
And we get $25 off. So again, this isn't like an official commercial. We just love the fact that we don't have to pay as much on our phone bill if other people sign up.
The cool thing about Ting is you pay for what you use.
Yeah. And I will say, too, even if you don't want to use Ting because it's on the Sprint network, there are other kind of companies, too. And we encourage any scavenger to get off of AT&T or all the big companies. It's so weird that these big companies sell time or phone
bandwidth
service to these little smaller companies at and then you get it cheaper.
Rate.
It's so weird. So there's Track Phone and I don't know.
It's
all these others, and they each will use AT&T network,
they use
or
that bandwidth.
It's Verizon. So if you just Google it, there's so many of them out there. It's so much cheaper.
So before the first of the year, you should, talking about being frugal and taking your bills down to
it was probably
lower bills.
It was probably one of the biggest wows
Yeah, it was amazing.
And I think we did it a couple of years ago where we were both on AT&T because that was the only company that had the iPhone. It's when it first came out. Yeah. We were paying $100 each for our phones. We were paying $200 a month, which seemed like a good deal at the time because I love my iPhone.
Right.
And then we heard about this thing, Ting, and we put our iPhone over there. We're paying at the most $50. I mean,
for both of us,
right? At the absolute most, because we're on a shared thing.
Yeah,
it's $50, and that's if we're like, I'm like sending photos and like going crazy.
I mean, the thing is, we also try to be on Wi-Fi, majority of the time. So we try to just be frugal about that too. So, but it's cool. It's almost like, cell phone bill hacking, where you're like, how can you get the lowest bill possible?
Right. And it's great too when we're away. The minimum is like $6, and like that's what we're
right. So you don't use any of your bandwidth when you're traveling, so you just don't pay for it.
Okay, let's talk about eBay and only eBay.
Go.
Number one, this is a question I had to you, and I don't really believe it. So, can a buyer leave you bad feedback if you give them their money back? And you said no.
Okay, so here's a rep told me on the phone. Here's the thing. It has to be through an official case. It can't be like someone complained, I gave them some money back on PayPal. They can still leave you a negative. But if they've opened a case and you've resolved the case, whatever way it needs a resolution, I have been told that they cannot leave you a negative feedback.
If you were to say that on a form, I would say, I want actual link on the...
Look, someone asked about it, and I was like, I would love to see documentation of this. The reps told me that. Yeah. I've had feedback taken away after, I've resolved an issue with someone. Right. So I'm not really sure...
Because, I mean, to me, that doesn't really seem to make sense, because then I could be like a really bad person and just be like, I'm going to treat people badly. If people actually force me to give them their money back, I will, and then I don't get bad feedback, and then I just hope that people just take it.
I guess the theory is then, well, they've been made whole because they got their money back, so it doesn't matter. Like, you can't... That's just like
if someone
how the
can actually find
works.
A link on the ebay.com website, I'd love to know if that's true. Number two, eBay, it's been a couple of weeks now. eBay is sending us a message that we sold an item very, very late, but only on our second store.
Very, very late, like 12 hours late.
So we'll get like a PayPal email that says, you sold this thing, or someone paid, and then it shows us the item. But then eBay, it could be 12 hours where we get that sold notice. Yeah,
so someone else was mentioning this on the forum and was asking, hey, is this happening to anyone else? It's only on our smaller second store. I keep a tab open of that second store in another browser so that I can just, if I need to ship something, I need to look over there anyway. But, yeah, it's weird because... I don't know why it's not happening on both stores. It's just happening on one store. And it is annoying because you're kind of like, if you don't see the PayPal message, you don't really know something's sold. And then if it gets shipped out late, look, if you're a professional seller, you should always be looking at your tab that says, this stuff needs to get shipped out. I look at that constantly because I'm like...
Now, is it just the email, or is it actually if you look on the
No, it's just the
site?
email.
Okay.
So if you look on the site, you're like, oh, I have to ship that such and such thing. I didn't even get an email about that. Right. It's like, you got to ship it out.
And so it's weird. It's only on one of our stores, so I don't know why it's not consistent. Okay, the other problem is we have been mentioning this. So eBay, they rolled out this brand new thing during their fall update, and that's guaranteed 3-day delivery, where there's now a thing in the upper right-hand corner, like if you do a search on someone's store or on eBay, and you can click this thing and only show you items that will get shipped to you guaranteed within 3 days.
3 days, yeah.
So when we did our store a couple of weeks ago, it was like only 1,800 out of...
almost 6,000.
Almost 6,000. And we called them and they were like, we don't get this. It's confusing. Then I do it a week ago and none of our items are showing up at all.
At all.
Even though we've gone through and the reps have agreed that we're doing everything we're supposed to do. We have the priority as an option, Everything, all the check boxes are checked off. So... I don't know.
But when you look at one of our items, does it say guaranteed 3-day shipping? Like if you click on it?
Let's look. Nope, it says 4 days. And I say that I'm here in my same town, like, you know.
Yeah. I hear you. It's really weird.
I don't know if there's anyone from eBay. I know you guys don't ever actually talk to us, but if you do stuff without telling us, we love for that to get looked at. Like, why is that a problem? Okay, more eBay. Something I learned, just because I don't do this part of the its business. We were complaining, it's recommending for eBay, the eBay app on the phone, to have something where you could send a person an invoice.
Right.
So if you accept an offer and you're out and, buying stuff out, phone. Why can't I just say send an invoice so the person knows they've got to pay me?
Right.
Well, you told me they did this a while ago. They don't actually now have an invoice, but they have a message that's pre-populated that says
payment reminder message. Yeah, it's pre-populated. So the funny thing is, it's only on the phone. Like, you can't, do an automatic message through your computer. I've never seen that. But on the phone, it says, send payment reminder. Like, if you look at your list of waiting for payment, and you click on that, and it pre-populates, hey, I totally want to ship this item.
Yep.
You just have to pay for it.
Did you add
Yeah, you
anything?
can add text to it.
Can you have a template where you...
No, I don't know where that is.
Does it send a link or something that saes, click here to pay? Or is it just please
I don't
pay?
even think it does that. It's just literally...
How long has it been there?
I don't know.
Okay. Does it seem like people... accept that? Do they?
Yes, it's a little bit nicer than sending an unpaid item thing. Although somebody took over 2 days to pay for this item the other day, and I did an unpaid item case without sending the payment reminder, and she got all mad.
Yeah,
I was like, "But lady, you didn't pay me."
Right.
But I guess I could have just sent a payment reminder and then the unpaid item case. It's just such a long process.
I know.
Come on.
Our corporate policy has always been to
message them first.
Send them an invoice and be real nice.
Yeah.
And then I think we send another one, and then we send them a personal appeal that says please, if you've bought this, we're ready to ship it. If you're not interested, just cancel, just so we can put it back up. And then you do the basically unpaid
item.
Yeah.
You try all the things. I think I get impatient.
I know. Okay, so we had a really good week. It was actually a very, very good week. And it felt like a good week, right? I mean, this really felt like a holiday week.
It did.
Yesterday was Saturday. I think we sold 15 items in one day.
I mean, it was crazy.
Which is more than we normally sell. Yeah. So in our main store, we sold 81 items, which again, for us, is a lot of items.
That is a lot of stuff. Trust me, I felt it. I was there were some days where I was I could just ship stuff all day. I need to have a cutoff period.
I mean, there was a summer a couple of years ago when our store was not doing well, where we were selling barely 100 items in a month. So the fact that we're selling 81
in a week,
and
you're what?
And that was for total sales. This is gross sales, not including the its shipping costs of $3,600.
That's huge. I mean,
and we did have a couple
money.
big dollar items,
yes.
But that was good. And then in our second store, we sold 12 items for about $282. I mean, I'm telling you, this is like the
autopilot.
This is like the stealth store. We don't add anything to it. We have not added anything in there for almost a year now.
Yeah.
And it makes us between $200 and $400 every week.
Right.
Without fail. It kind of, to me, it's kind of like the ongoing experiment to show people you actually don't have to add things to your store for it to sell stuff. Now, we couldn't make a living on that kind of income, but it does show you that people still buy from you even if you aren't an active store. Okay, so let's talk about the things we sold. Ryan's chomping at the bit. I want you to go.
Okay, that's Santa in a canoe.
Wilderness Santa.
We had it on auction. Nobody cared. I relisted it at $1,200. Someone gave us an offer of $900. We said, Yes.
Okay, so I got to give you the whole backstory because people are like, I don't know what.
Oh, I thought we already talked
about
the Santa. Okay.
Okay, I mean, we did, but let's just make sure people are clear. We went to an auction 3 weeks ago. We spent $900. It was a lot of money.
Yeah.
On one of these tables was this giant Santa Claus inside of like a boat.
A canoe.
Right. And it was one of those things where I've said it's before. That's the kind of stuff where my instinct is just throw that thing away. Like, just leave it
I almost left it. I almost left it there, too.
It's like the junkiest thing, but we're good. We're scavengers. We take everything home.
Everything. You never know.
Yeah. So we bring it home, and we start to actually realize, wow, this is actually kind of well-made, you know? It's
this is kind of
handmade. Everything's, like, real. It's not plastic. It's, like, porcelain face,
yeah, it's handmade. It's very cool.
And then we do some research, and some people on the blog helped us, and it's made by this famous kind of artist in Lubbock, Texas.
Yeah.
Where he made the Santa Claus.
Santas.
He no longer does it. Right. So that now they're really
limited,
expensive.
Yeah,
these things sell for like $300, like all day long.
Right.
But we were like, this actually is kind of cool. Let's do an experiment. $1,200.
Right. I couldn't find any others in the canoe.
A lot of people are watching it. We said, well, let's try an auction. We're kind of in this phase. Nobody bid on it at the price we wanted, so we put it back up for $1,200. Someone gave us an offer of $900. We accepted it. So that one thing paid for the entire auction.
Can I just say he hasn't paid yet?
He is not paid.
He is not paid. He gave us the offer on Thursday evening. Right now it's Sunday afternoon.
Right.
So, I am very skeptical as to whether he'll pay or not. I really hope he does.
So, why don't we make like a friendly wager? Next week,
right,
is your guess that he won't pay? Because I'll take the other side of that bet. I think he will pay.
Okay. Let's be on either side then.
Got it.
I'm skeptical, but I'm not like totally in a dark hole about it. But I'm like, he hasn't said anything.
Yep.
I've sent him an invoice. I've sent him a payment reminder.
I'm going to be positive about it, but if he does pay, that's a huge thing for us.
Yeah,
and that's again, to me, the excitement of auctions is you never know what you're going to buy. Even when you buy it, you don't even know what the stuff is.
I feel like that happens a lot. You're like, I just would have thrown that away.
Well, so let's go to number 2. Another one of these auction items from that same auction. It was just on a table of like junk. These little mushrooms made out of mushrooms. They were made out of wood, and I mean, I wouldn't have thrown it away, but it would have been like, man, this is like $2 or something. They turned out that they were made by this guy. They're Copeland.
An artist.
Yeah.
Last name C.M. Copeland in Georgia.
And they sold for $35. I'm like, wow.
Look, I had those on auction, and I had like 10 people watching them. Yeah. They only sold for the opening bid, but I'm kind of like, man, I should have listed those for like $60. Because they're, to me, they looked like cool mid-century, like kind of Danish modern, like little funky things. But they were signed, so someone else in Georgia bought them.
See, I think that's a cool thing I like about, when you go and buy like a table of like weird stuff, is that it's like an adventure and like a research. Versus like, and we've done it's before, and we still do. You go to a thrift store, there's like a rack of clothes, and it's like, pulling the same clothes over and over again, and it sells, and it's a way to make a living. That's cool, but this way, it's kind of exciting. I will say our very brief thing into auctions, again, it happens every like 6 months or 12 months. We're like, maybe we should try it, and we might have a cool sale, but then it's like, most of them is just, it's not really going anywhere. Like, we also sold a knife with a melted handle.
For $17.
I would have thrown away.
You even told me. You were like, get rid of this. Yep. Like, either put it in our kitchen. It had a plastic
candle that was melted.
But it was Wusthof. No, it was a Henkel's. Okay.
It was Emerald.
I will say this. It was a Henkel's Emerald. Emerald? That what it's called? Okay, so you're like, all right, it's kind of like a cheapy version of this. With a melted handle, but I'm like, without the melted handle, they sell for like $30. So I'm like, if someone wants a deal on this, they don't care about the handle. it sold, within a week, and the guy gave me great feedback. Great knife. I'm like, shoot, $17. That's not bad. Okay, so the next thing is all you.
Right. So I bought a doctor's bag for $10.
Leather.
Right.
Vintage.
So a little bit more than we normally pay for items.
$10. Yeah.
But it was a really nice. People love the doctor's bag.
Yeah,
and
they're
it sold
cool.
for $120.
Global shipping program to someone in Copenhagen.
Cha-ching.
Just so you know.
This is all a you.
Oh, yeah. So we bought 2 flat screen TVs
for our rentals.
For our rentals.
How much were they?
The one upstairs was almost $400.
That's expensive. That's so cheap.
Okay.
I mean, I can't believe how cheap big screen TVs are, and they were light. Like, I could pick it up on my own.
So that was upstairs, and downstairs I bought it on eBay, I think for $2 something, because it's a smaller one. Both of them, they were on sale in a deal, so they were, cheap. But, so we mounted them on the walls because we didn't want extra furniture taking up room to put the TV on in these particular rooms, so they're mounted on the wall. And they come with stands. And the stands are made for this exact model TV. I sold both stands. The first stand I sold for $50-something. And then the second stand sold this week for $40. It was kind of a cheaper, smaller one. Yeah, so you make a little bit of money back by selling. And I think I've sold one of the remotes because I didn't need the remote because I programmed like a universal, big button remote thing. So it's like if you can sell those little pieces that come with the TV, you're like making back your money.
And we've talked about the same thing. Ryan's really good about this. Like if we buy IKEA furniture and there's extra pieces, we sell those things too. I sell those
extra pieces because you're like, my thing broke. I need this piece. And it's like, well, I have one. It's just extra.
Like it's my dream would be to buy a big pallet of like extra IKEA pieces. Oh man, we'd make so much money. And then the final thing I mentioned kind of a cool thing we sold was a music box.
It was an Italian like wood inlay music box. We've had it for so long. It sold for $150, which is a great price.
But it was just one of those sales we just needed. We just had
to wait
to wait for the right person.
Yeah.
Scavenge of the week. We didn't do a lot of scavenging, but I will say one thing. I bought a box of door parts,
like vintage door parts,
like vintage door handles and keyholes,
escutcheons. That's what they're called.
Right. And like the plates, like brass, and it was in like someone probably cleaned out a house, and there was like an old shoebox full of these old parts like tied together. It's with
it just looks like junk.
And I got it, and I knew it was a great buy because we've bought these things individually, and I know each piece is valuable.
Yeah.
So if we make $10 on each piece.
I mean, minimum. Some of those are like...
I love it.
Yeah. Well, it's so funny because when you were like, hey, what about this box of, hardware? I was like, But then I'm the one that buys that stuff for our houses. I should know automatically. No, you got to buy it.
Right.
The beautiful thing is also the box it came in is this beautiful 1950s, like, cool mod shoebox with these little, like, funny, like, mid-century modern kittens on them.
Colorful.
They're great. I'm like, I'm selling the box, too, so.
Okay, things we learned in the forum. So someone wrote in to ask, when does eBay consider a package that is lost?
Yeah.
I didn't actually know. I thought, like, the post office, they would actually tell you. Like,
oh,
it's
no.
lost.
They do not.
So she called eBay, and she shared the info, and eBay told her when it hasn't moved in 7 days.
When the tracking has not updated in 7 days. So is that 7 business days? I think it's just 7 days total. So
I wonder if it's days. I mean, like, because... Yeah, I don't know if that's business days or days. So if someone buys an item from you and the tracking does not inch forward at all for a week, then eBay expects you to give a refund. Yeah,
which is a bummer because the person who asked it was like, I gave her a refund and then the tracking started moving again and then it got delivered and it's like, ooh, so... Yeah, you got to wait a little bit. But I've seen that happen a couple weeks ago. There was this jacket going to like Indiana from here. We live in Virginia. It was taking forever. Like there were updates, but it just wasn't really saying anything. It was just like still in, wherever, halfway between here and there. And I'm like, I don't know why this keeps getting stuck at this one place. It finally got there, but you're like, it took like 10 days to get there.
Yeah.
So...
the other thing we talked about was somebody asked, it was a Retro Treasures WV. Yes. He says, does it matter if you put a note or a gift in the package that you send? And, he was mentioning like he does video game stuff or pinball.
Pinball machines.
So there's a guy he buys stuff from who will send him like a moon pie or like a little note.
Like a little extra thing.
And I guess in a certain world, it might make sense if you are the kind of business where if you sell a particular kind of thing and you're trying to build up clientele who are going to come to you again and again. That personal touch totally makes sense. It's like a little small town thing. Yeah. But I think in most cases, especially for a store, it's like we have, like I think it's just number one, it's too much work. Like if you did a personalized note or if it's gift wrap everything with a bow.
And I've seen sellers do it when I buy stuff. I'm like, wow, this person really went.
I'm like, I don't think they sell a lot of stuff to have that much time.
You just don't have time.
The other thing is, I bought things on eBay and it's with like a little gift or something.
Yeah.
Like a piece of candy. And I just think it's a little weird. Like, I just want good service and a good deal.
Right.
I'm not really looking for...
Like, I don't need anything extra, yeah.
Food. I don't know. I think that's just my opinion.
I will say this. If I notice a return customer... Because there are times where I'm like, oh, this person's bought this thing from me before, this type of thing. I will write a note. I'll just say, thanks, so-and-so, so that I acknowledge, hey... I know that you're a return customer.
And now, I will say, and I know people are going to talk about this, to print up business cards or print up something and just throw it in there. We've done that too, where you just print up
a little like coupon-y thing.
Pamphlet or something, not a pamphlet, but like a handbill or something. Just, thanks for shopping. Number one, it doesn't really feel very personal. And it still takes work.
I just honestly, really, I don't have time to do it, and I don't think it makes a difference.
Yeah. But I know there are some people that enjoy doing that kind of stuff, and that's cool.
When you should do it.
It's like an Etsy kind of thing.
That's when you should do it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, another good question was, are there scammers with high dollar items? Mm-hmm. Like, do you have to be worried about that on eBay? And I bring that up because on the forum,
yes,
someone came on and they said they bought a bunch of stuff,
right?
And one of the things had been a watch, and I realized, or she, I'm sorry if I forget who it was, said that the item looked really expensive, so they took it to a watch shop, had it cleaned and kind of fixed up, and then had them actually write out how much they thought it was worth and why, and to authenticate it.
Right.
Turns out it's like a $5,000 watch.
I mean,
so
that's great.
And what they're asking is this: should I sell it on eBay, or do I need to be worried that someone's going to buy it, then return it, but the return is a fake, and then how do you fight that?
Right.
And I feel like it's kind of this endless conversation we have on the forum about this stuff. I feel like it's never happened to us. For all the things we've ever sold on eBay, we've never had someone return. Have we? Like they buy one thing and then they return another.
I've never had that happen. I have not had that happen.
But I feel like everyone knows somebody where it happened, but no one's really had it happen to themselves. Although I have, anyway, I don't know. I just don't think it's very common. And then what I did was I just did a search for gold and showed the highest sold. And there's just thousands of things every day being sold on eBay. $50,000 watches and gold bars and silver and coins. I mean, someone's doing it. Someone is selling high dollar items,
and feeling confident to do it on eBay.
So I guess the question is to reach out to those kind of people and figure out how it's protect themselves.
Well, the other thing that someone mentioned on the forum too is that eBay has started doing a authentication service for handbags, because it sucks to sell handbags, Gucci, Prada, whatever, on eBay, because eBay's always flagging your stuff because they think it's fake, or your person's like, this is fake, and they return it, and you're like, it's not. But the great thing is what eBay will do is, well, they take a cut of it, of course, but you're going to send them the purse. They say, yep, we have a team of experts that says this is real, and we're going to photograph it, and we're going to take care of shipping and insurance and all this stuff, and you get, I think it's like 80% of the sale. So that's not bad for having, it's almost like global shipping where it's taken care of.
But I guess is my point to wrap this up is I feel like in our world, we're selling such small dollar items in the grand scheme of things. Like, honestly, most of our stuff is under, it's $50.
Yeah.
A $100 item is a big deal.
Right.
Like a $900 item is like a hit the jackpot kind of thing.
Crazy.
I think there are people who sell on eBay who are consistently selling high dollar items. Like, that's the world they live in.
Right, that's just...
And there are people who spend that kind of money on eBay too. And I just feel like it's a different world up there that we're just not familiar with. And because I know that feeling, like if we sell like this $900 item, I'm like on the edge of it's my seat until he gets the item and gives us good feedback, because I'm just like, it's such a big deal if they were to return it or say
something's wrong.
Something. So
So I feel like sellers like that have certain protections in place. What they are, I'm not quite sure, but insurance, or having like some kind of digital code on the watch or whatever, so they know if it's the same one that got returned.
And I guess its question is, doesn't that happen with anything? With Amazon, with, I don't know. I mean, anytime someone were to buy like a $5,000 piece of gold, couldn't that problem happen where someone's like, I want to return this, and they give the person a fake one, and then they're like out of there, and then it's just he said, she said. I feel like if someone's gonna screw you, they're gonna scam you. It's just I don't know.
There's no good answer. Really.
Okay, and then the final thing I want to talk about before we do the calls is Bitcoin. We were having an interesting conversation just today on cryptocurrency. And it's interesting because, again, I had a couple people just email me off the blog where they were like, I'm using my eBay cash to invest in cryptocurrency.
Well, you know why? Because
digital currency.
Right. So the big news is, Bitcoin hit, what was it, like
$10,000.
10,000 for a Bitcoin. I mean, I remember when Bitcoin was worth like a couple dollars.
Yeah.
And I mean, if you held on to them.
Right. And like this one guy I was talking to, he was investing, it's not just in Bitcoin, but in all these other kinds of
different currencies.
There's all this kind of currency
digital
being made.
Currencies.
And it's so interesting. To me, it's like Beanie Babies for computer nerds, like it's not a practical currency. You can't really buy anything.
Well, you can buy stuff with it, but a lot of times too, you have to convert it to cash. Which you're like, why did I just do that?
So, I don't know. But, some people are into that. Like, it's all speculation at this point. So our experience was actually, we're not against any of this kind of stuff. We were actually excited about it. It was maybe 4 years ago.
Yeah.
Where we were like, well, and we'd heard of Bitcoin, and we knew people that were into it way back when no one understood this stuff. And we were like, I wonder if we could sell our stuff on some site that just took Bitcoin.
Yeah.
So we actually joined this like online site.
I forget what it was called.
And we started putting stuff up. The problem was like everything on there was like a fetish stuff. And
it was fetish stuff, or if it was like apocalypse prepper stuff.
And so we were like putting up like
military gear,
a women's clothes and like winter jackets.
No. We weren't. We were putting up our military surplus. That's what we were putting up. But we have so much other stuff that we're like, are people buying like our kind of stuff with Bitcoin?
Yeah.
Not really.
So it's interesting, and I think we have like part of a Bitcoin on a hard drive that crashed, so we're kind of
I don't know how to retrieve it.
But and I don't know if that's still true. Like, I mean, if someone could point me to a website, some eBay-like site where we could put up our stuff, I'd be glad to try and put up our stuff and see if we can't make some Bitcoin.
Fun.
I just find like people buying Bitcoin aren't buying it to use it as actual currency.
Yeah.
They're buying it because it's like a Beanie Baby or like a stock, and they hope that they buy it at $10,000 and it sells for $14,000, and you know,
it's an interesting conversation for sure. That's it for me. I want to remind people before we take calls to thank your postal carrier this holiday season. Give them a card.
Yep.
Give them a tip.
Yeah, people were not arguing, but sharing their experiences. Some people give actual cash. Some people give like
a gift card,
a cake or something.
Yeah. I mean, look, I know there's like, they're not allowed to accept gifts at certain places, or they're not allowed to accept X amount of whatever. Yeah. Just thank them. Yep. Whichever way you want to give them, a Christmas card, a Hanukkah card, a whatever. It doesn't matter. Just say thank you. That's all I'm saying.
Oh, it's real quick because I'm so into cooking meals before we eat them. A meal prep.
Okay.
Let's have a meal prep.
Cooking meals before we eat them? I hope so. Yeah.
What are you preparing to eat for this week?
I already made 2 quiches. And I made, in quotes, mashed potatoes made out of cauliflower, and they're delicious. Yep. So that's what I have so far.
Cool.
That's me.
And I made, and it's cooking, or it's done, but it's heating up right now, barbecued sausage.
In the Instant Pot.
Yep. And I'm going to do that with sweet potatoes.
Yes.
And then some greens, some kale.
I'm also going to make a eggplant lasagna.
Parmesan.
It's like eggplant parmesan.
And did you learn how to make cheesecake in like little cups in the Instant Pot?
You didn't even eat it yet. It's just so friggin' good.
I'm not into cheesecake.
Okay, everybody please listen to this. Jay's the one that sent me the recipe.
I know, because I know you're into it.
Oh, I'm totally eating that then. Good. It's delicious.
Okay, I don't need to be into something to share information with you.
Okay, so let me just say this.
It's too cheesy. Like, here's how it sounds.
I can't believe you sent me the recipe.
Here's how it sounds. It's when I eat cheesecake. I'm like this.
Oh my God.
It's like a dog eating peanut butter.
Okay, so let me just say this, though, about the eggplant. It's not eggplant parmesan exactly. It's basically making lasagna without noodles, because we don't eat that right now. I love pasta, but I'm not eating it. So I'm using eggplant as noodles. It's so good.
Yeah, and we try to eat keto. For those of you who are into the low-carb kick.
Tough, though, because you are making sweet potatoes because they taste so good.
Yeah, I'm kind of more low-carb, and you're going for, like, no-carb.
I do not eat no-carb. There's no doubt. Yep. I definitely have low-carb, but yes. So that's the...
And maybe we'll even put a picture of our meals, like our little airplane meals. I love it so much.
Yeah, it's
I love it so much.
You're so
it's like
insane.
I can't believe I lived my whole life up until this point
without
having little meals already prepared. It's just
it makes things very easy.
Yeah. Okay, let's go to the questions that people called in about.
The phone number for the voicemail line is 540-407-8486. You have 3 minutes to leave a message.
Yeah, hey there, Jay and Ryan. Happy Sunday. Great to hear your podcast always. Wanted to follow up with an interesting story regarding your jacket. This wasn't personal to me, but I had met somebody thrifting one day, and I was doing some thrifting, and so was she, and as I walked out, she looked at me and said, "Hey, do you do eBay? And I said, yep. She goes, oh, let me tell you this story. So she, as we're telling stories about our fun finds, she told me about an ugly sweater that she had found, and then she said, so she listed it. It's an old Ralph Lauren polo sweater. And she said it was really ugly and couldn't find anything to compare it to. So she listed it for something like about $50 or $70. Well, it sold really fast, and then somebody else came on right behind that and offered her like about $150. So she'd pulled it off, called some friends, they did some research, found out that this sweater was worth a lot more money, but wasn't sure how much. And because she kept getting emails about, hey, can you go ahead and I'll buy it from you, similar to what you were dealing with. Anyways, long story short, she took a hit on the refund, got a bad mark against her, but ultimately ended up selling the sweater for over $4,000. Turned out it was like a Ralph Lauren sweater from the Olympics back in the 60s, and everybody knew about it but her. So that's a cool story, kind of reminded me of your jacket story, and it's one of those things you just don't know and you don't think about it, but you do the best you can. Anyways, one last question for you. What do you guys do as far as requesting a signature with all this stuff getting stolen off porches and stuff nowadays? I kind of set a threshold of about $100 and more, and I'll pay a little extra to make sure that they get it so they can never say they didn't. But just curious. Anyways, wishing you guys all happy holidays, Merry Christmas, Happy New Year. Here's to another great year, hopefully. And look forward to hearing another podcast. Sounds great. Bye.
I think that the post office, don't they have a thing where they make you put the signature on it if it's over a certain amount of money?
No, they don't. eBay suggests that you do signature confirmation for anything over like $700.
How about ShipSaver? Does ShipSaver make you do it?
No.
Okay. So our corporate policy is what?
I would say, honestly, anything over like $300, I'm putting a signature on.
Yep.
And you got to tell your customer, because they get super annoyed if they're like, how come you didn't tell me?
Right. So that's a first thing. If you put signature confirmation on an item, you need to tell people.
Tell people.
I bought things,
yes,
and they don't tell me, and then I'm never at home when the item comes, and I'm like, if I knew that, then I could do something about it. So definitely tell them.
Tell people.
My question is this. So why don't we say we mail a $100 item to a person?
Right.
It gets there. It's delivered.
Right.
And then the person says, hey, it got stolen off my porch. Whose fault is it? Is it our fault, or is it...
No, it's not our fault because it's marked delivered. Like, eBay is going to back you up on that.
Gotcha. So then really, there isn't... As long as it says delivered, it's more the person on that end. They need to have a system where they can accept packages safely.
Or they tell their post office, don't leave this on my porch.
Right.
You know? But yeah, no, I hear you. I mean, it's... The problem is signature confirmation's like $250.
Yeah.
So if every $100 you're spending $250, I mean, maybe that's okay. Maybe, $100 is like a rare sale, which it is for a lot of people. I don't know. I wouldn't, unless the buyer asked me to do that.
To me, it sounds like it's not for us; it's for them. Because if it gets, if the post office gets it there and it gets stolen off their porch, that's not our problem.
Right.
That's their problem.
Right.
That's all I'm saying.
Yeah, I know. But she's paying for that, out of her pocket for the signature confirmation.
If she chooses to do that, I'm just telling her, if this is clear to you, that she doesn't need to do that for herself.
Oh, for her record.
Like it's not helping her, it's helping the buyer. So if the buyer wants that to happen, fine.
Right.
But she doesn't need to be worried about packages being stolen because it's not on her.
Right.
That's what I'm saying.
But it sounds like she's trying to help the customer.
Okay.
Out of her own pocket.
I didn't read it that way.
That's how I read it.
Got it.
We obviously...
2 people, 2 different readings.
Yes.
Well, let's move on.
Yes, this is Dennis in Mississippi. I really appreciate the podcast. It's really made a difference in my part-time eBay business. I wanted to comment on the iPhone and listing mobile. The latest updates really caused some problems for me. I had experienced problems with selling similar, if it was my own items. The question would ask to delete the pictures, and I would answer yes to delete or no to not share, and they were there anyway. Also, I had not been able to find where I could pick my in-store or eBay store category, which was there in the previous version of the app. And then the third thing is that I could take the description, and using the voice to text feature on my iPhone, I could just speak my description and for my title, and it would capitalize the every word in the title. And now it does not do that consistently. I called eBay support. They were attentive to what I said, but they basically said they would turn it to their tech team, and that's probably been about 3 weeks ago, and I've been looking for a system update. And I just want to know if anybody else has experienced the same problems. I generally list things in batches that are similar so that I can just go 1, 2, 3, and copy the previous ones. And I would sell hats and die-cast cars, and they're all similar except for the description, title, and perhaps maybe the price. Again, thanks for all you do. You do a wonderful job. You have lots of things to share with us that make a difference.
Yeah, that's annoying that they changed that stuff. I think for us, I would like to hear from other people, but for us, basically I'm using the app as a camera. That's it. I do everything on the computer, and then I take photos, maybe throw some measurements in there, and then I come back on the computer and I fix everything, change the category, type up the title, do the shipping, tweaks, whatever. So I don't really know about any of those problems. I'm sure there are lots of other people who use the app just to list, have experienced those. I haven't heard of those issues yet, but I would love to hear from other people having those problems.
Hey, Jan, Ryan, it's Will out of North Carolina. Hey, just calling in a week or so ago. You had the lady call in about packages stolen off the porch in an urban area and wanting a locker or something to keep them in. You can do that. I have done it. The way you have to go about it is you would have to put a digital lock box on the locker. So it would have to be a keypad lock. And then you would also have to actually go schedule your package pickup the previous evening every day. And in the little box where it says, special instructions, you tell them the packages are in the box and you give the code. Then it gets printed on their sheet. So no matter what driver picks them up, they always get that pickup sheet. That's how I got around that, because I did have that issue in a neighborhood I previously lived in. So just thought that might help somebody out. Thanks a lot. Have a great day. Love the show. Keep it up.
That is awesome advice, because I was thinking, yeah, you could have like a big metal locker in your front lawn type thing and have a key code on it. And then I kept thinking, how would you make sure they know the key code if they have like a substitute driver or your driver gets switched out? And that's how you would do it. You would go in and schedule your pickup, whether you do that or not. I don't schedule a pickup anymore. I just put my flag up because they just know. But if you're doing the, scheduled pickup, you would put the code in there. Hey, this is the code. And they would have the sheet to look at, especially if it's a new driver and they get to this thing and they're like, what's this?
Yeah, I think that we are lucky because in a rural area like where we are, people love these jobs. So we get a carrier and that's our carrier. We're not having a different person every day, which it sounds like
we get the same carrier.
That your mom had been at her last house. She says it was like a different
person all the time.
And so it'd be much more difficult.
Yeah. So yeah, it's tough in an urban area where you're there's different people all the time. So I think that's great advice.
Hi, Jay and Ryan. This is Maddie in Baltimore. So I have 2 shipping things that came up this week that I thought were kind of interesting and I wanted to get your input on. The first one was relatively simple. A buyer from overseas was interested in an item. It was actually a pair of snow pants that I was selling for $40. but she needed me to ship it 3 weeks later, and the situation is her husband is a pilot and flies into D.C. in a few weeks, and she wanted the package sent to his address at his hotel. But the hotel won't hold packages for more than a week prior. So I ended up saying no problem, and I changed the shipping time on the item to 30 days so that I wouldn't get a defect. And she bought it immediately and added a buyer note with the day she needs it shipped. So everything is documented. And I decided to do it because the first message was super normal, and she clearly does this a lot. So I figured it was a good solution to just change the shipping time. But now I'm just sitting here with this item notification to ship, and that's just a little bit annoying. But I was wondering what your thoughts were on that. Would you have done that for a buyer, or would you just say no, buy it in a few weeks if it's still available? And then I'm going to call in. My second one is a little bit longer. It's about the global shipping program. So I'm going to call in again so I don't hit the time limit.
Okay, so your first question.
So number one is, I think for us, it just depends how hungry we are. We've definitely done the same kind of thing where someone's like, can I buy it now, and can you ship it in a month? And we've done that.
Right. So, but here's the thing that was good about your buyer. She asked you before she purchased it,
right.
So you were able to change your handling time so you don't get a defect. The problem is when someene's like, they purchase it and they're like, can you ship this in 3 weeks? And you're like, well, now I'm under the clock, and no, I can't.
Well, I think we've said okay in some cases,
and we
just
the
eat
defect.
it. Yeah. Like it really all depends on how hungry we are. And,
it depends on the item.
And you know what? I'm pretty thirsty.
Although it is good that you said, would you say you can buy it if it's still available? Because most likely the item's gonna be available in 3 weeks if it's not like a crazy commodity
if I'm a
item.
buyer, I'm like, I want to know that I have it, and
that's true.
Hey. It's all about, like, this is what we do. I do understand that thing, though. When we sell an item and it's paid for, we like it just gone.
I want it out.
I don't want
to ship it that
floating
second.
there, sitting there.
I just want it gone. Yeah, I hear you. Okay, next question by Maddie.
Hi, this is Maddie again. So my second shipping thing this week, I had a buyer with only 3 feedback buy something through the global shipping program. But at the time I didn't know it was global shipping because she hadn't paid yet, so I couldn't see. She sent an offer and I accepted it, and before paying she sent me a message asking if there was any cheaper shipping, and the shipping was $3 in flat rate in the US, so I was thinking she's probably through the global shipping program because $3, like I'm not sure you can get much cheaper than that. And I said, if you know a cheaper option, sure, let me know because I'd like to know what's less expensive than $3. But if you're buying through the global shipping program, then that's not a charge I'm making, and I essentially can't change that price since I only ship internationally through the program. And she replies back, okay, thanks, and it was a totally fine exchange, very nice about it. But about an hour later, she pays, she sends me a message that there's a typo in her address. So I can't change it because it's part of the global shipping program. So I call eBay to ask them to change it on their end, and I go through their shipping department, and the woman was really helpful. She put in a case for the global shipping program, which is apparently a separate entity on their customer service. And then she was transferring me there, but I'm waiting for over half an hour, and I had to leave, so I hung up, and I thought, no big deal. I'll just call back later today because they always have notes on everything, and even if they don't, I'll just go through it again, whatever. So I call back, and the rep says that he can't do anything on his end. And I obviously know that that's not true. So he tells me to ask the buyer to cancel the transaction, to not refund her, to relist the item, to have her change her address to the correct one, and then to have her buy it again. Like, okay, no. So that's insane, especially for a new buyer. So I sternly but politely told him that he was indeed able to do this on his end and to please speak with his manager. So he does, and like less than a minute later, he comes back on the line and says he actually is able to do this, to change the address for something on the global shipping program, and he just needs to know what the change is, and he'll speak with the global shipping department. So he puts me on hold for a little longer, comes back, and confirms that he made the change to the address and that I could ship out the package now. So I haven't gotten any notifications from eBay or anything on my end, and I'm going to let the buyer know that eBay said they changed her address, but I can't confirm it. So we'll see what happens. I just thought this was an interesting predicament. This happens all the time with domestic packages where people have a typo or moved or something, and you can easily just change before you ship. But I've never had this happen on a global shipping item before.
Yes, that's a way to do it. You basically,
like, I know you can.
If you know the rules better than the eBay people do, it's not about being rude or mean or like yelling at people. It's just walking them through it.
Well, the other thing is to say, look, I talked to a rep earlier, and they said they could do this.
Right.
So.
But yeah, because we've heard that before from other people. Like when eBay reps say the answer is to cancel it and have the person buy it. That is not.
No.
I mean, I get what they're trying to say, but that's not a good answer because the chance of that person actually rebuying it is zero. And at the same time, we always talk about this. Like when people in other countries are buying from you and they really kind of start crying about how expensive it is to ship, I don't really have a lot of patience with that because, their country has certain VAT taxes and custom fees, and then they say, "Well, I don't really have to pay those," but I'm like, "Well, that's what your country says. Like, it's between you and your country."
It's really tough. It's really tough because, like, it's like we say, you're hungry. You want to make that sale, and then you want to try to give people, the best option possible, of course, and then you just reach a limit where you're like, "Look, that's how much it costs."
Hello, good evening, Scavenger Life people. This is Tony Kaz in Michigan. Calling again. I'm just listening to 305. You guys are talking about baby boomers and how much stuff is falling into has been saved, and then the old baby boomers pass on, and this stuff goes out into the marketplace, and you guys pick it up and sell it. And I think that's going to continue on for 30 or 40 years because every household in the United States has been collecting keepers. They throw out most of the stuff they buy every week, but a small amount of stuff is keepers. They keep that stuff, and it builds and builds and builds and builds, and then finally they die and it gets dispersed. And the keeper stuff is the stuff that you guys buy and resell for good money. It's quality stuff, and it's going to be resold again after you sell it. It's going to be resold and resold and resold. A lot of this stuff is going to be resold forever because the population is growing. People want vintage quality. They're going to be buying it. So that's, I think, what the phenomenon is. You are in the profitable segment. If you're in the car business like we were, General Motors people, the money at a car dealer is in the used cars. The new cars are not profitable. They do make some money, but the used car side makes huge amounts of money. It's the most profitable section in the car dealer. My wife bought a used skirt the other day for $5. It was a Pendleton, and then I resell it for like $30 or $40. That's huge profit. The store didn't make that kind of money, and Pendleton didn't make that kind of money. Then I'm going to sell it. Somebody's going to buy it, and they're going to have it for a while, and so it'll find its way into a thrift shop, and you guys will buy it, and somebody else will buy it and resell it again. It's the glory side of the business. I love your podcasts. Are fascinating. Thanks for being there. By the way, the Craigslist hunter has just done a thorough analysis of how much money a reseller can make, and he's figuring it's going to be about $60,000 a year, where he just doesn't have enough time to do more money than that. And I just saw that analysis where he's doing a call-in blog, and it takes two people to hit double to get increase over that. It's a fascinating analysis. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Okay, so I hope that you're right. I love the idea of another 30 or 40 a year. There's just like a deluge of stuff that we can keep scavenging and buying. Because that's basically my lifetime. So That's great. I guess my point is yes, America definitely is a place of abundance / waste.
Yes.
The big question is the younger generation going to keep as much stuff as the baby boomers.
Right.
And, that it remains to be seen. I know us personally, we're not good examples, I don't think, because we don't keep anything. Like, when I die, other than stuff that's in our actual eBay store, like our personal things, we don't collect. And I guess that's a thing it's wondering, I feel like a lot of the baby boomers and their parents, they're really into collections, like keeping like a whole shelf of like something. And I just don't know if the younger generation that does that, maybe they don't do it now.
Right.
But maybe they'll do it when they get older. Maybe it's more of a function of when you get more settled.
You have more money.
You kind of have like your home that you stay in one place. You have more money, and you just start getting. People love patterns, and they love to like get all of one thing. So I don't know. It'll be interesting. My point is that there is just such a glut of stuff right now. It's a really wonderful time to be alive.
Hi, this is Doug down in Charlottesville. I would like to put on eBay a large loom. It's for making rugs or for making linen cloth. It's quite heavy. It's several hundred pounds. Maybe not the best candidate for eBay, but I'm wondering if y'all have any thoughts on selling larger items that require freight, or I'll take a truck to move. I appreciate your all's work. Bye.
Good question.
No, I mean, we've talked about this multiple times over the past a year or so when we started to sell furniture. I think it's a great place to sell, cool items. Take good pictures, describe it, put a good title, and then you can do two things. You can say a local pickup, free, so someone can come and pick it up from you. Or number two, you can actually ship it on your own and just put a set
a freight price on it.
And these days there's like people that will come and pick it up from you.
Yeah.
From uship.com.
Right. So it's a little bit tough because it's hard to decide how much it costs for something like that to get shipped, especially when you don't know where it's going to get shipped. Is it in the same state or is it in California? So I think another good place for something like that is also Craigslist. You said you're in Charlottesville, which is a pretty big city, but you could put it on Craigslist in Washington, D.C., and that's a bigger one.
But I think really eBay is a good place, especially if it's a weird, cool item.
It sounds unique.
It might not sell quickly if you want a good price for it, but if you're willing just to keep it in a room somewhere, and then make an offer, See,
I would love to know how much things like that sell for. Like, have you looked up solds? Do people on eBay sell looms like that? I'd be interested to know. I guess I could just look it up myself. I should probably do that.
Hi, Jay and Ryan. My name is Duska, and I am a long-time YouTube fan of your podcast, but a first-time caller. First, I want to thank you both so much for inspiring me to quit my stressful corporate day job a little over a year ago and pursue selling eBay online full-time. I've never looked back, absolutely no regrets, and I'm still doing it. I have a Christmas present for you, Jay. I also am very passionate about Smartwool socks, and I want to give you, for Christmas, my source for the cheapest Smartwool socks on the face of the earth, and it is Sierra Trading Post. They have such cheap Smartwool socks, and I outfit my family with them constantly. So, cheers to you both. I just love you guys so much. You don't know how much good you're really doing. Thank you, and happy holidays.
Duska, okay, number one, if it is actually true that we have actually helped somebody convince them to quit their full-time job and to do this full-time, that's amazing to me.
It's amazing.
I mean, it really is a game changer. I know we talk about all the time, and people talk about, I want to quit. It's my job. It is such a big deal to actually go independent, to like pull yourself off of like the steady paycheck with the benefits.
All that stuff. It's scary,
It's a very, I know we all have that love-hate thing, but if you can really do it, it really is amazing.
Yeah.
So that's cool. And number two, I'm glad I'm not the only one that has not an addiction, but a true affection for smart wool socks, and I'm wearing right now.
I don't have mine. Are you wearing? Oh, sorry. No! I just did the laundry, so that's probably why they're all getting washed.
I need to give you more.
I know.
So yeah, I'm on this. I've never heard
Sierra
of this
Trading
store.
Post.
What is it?
I feel like I've heard it before, but it's basically like. A lot of them are like factory seconds and just like overmade. They're cheap too.
So it's like $8 for. I mean, like that's cheaper than the used ones I'm buying on eBay.
I know. So we gotta buy them.
Okay, I'm gonna start buying them before we post this podcast, so people don't like buy them out. But yeah,
I don't think so. I think there's plenty for everyone. Yeah. There's a lot of good ones for cheap.
Cool. Smart wool socks. So just imagine me, we're ending this podcast soon. Just imagine me eating out of like a little airplane tray meal with my smart wool socks.
It's a life of luxury.
That is where my life has come to, and I love it. Okay, I do want to mention one last thing if there's anyone still here. People in the forum were asking, can you put a thumbs up plug-in on the forum? So if someone does a cool post or does a cool answer, they can do thumbs up. There's no thumbs down.
There's no thumbs down because I don't care about thumbs down. I care about thumbs up.
So it is now active on the forum thanks to a very nice trash shelf guy who has been working with us to kind of tweak our forum. He's just doing it out of the goodness of his heart.
That's awesome.
He wants to be known as a Looney McClooney.
Looney McClooney.
So, dude,
thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
You can do a little thumbs up on this post.
Thumbs up me.
Yeah.
Okay,
that's it for the podcast this week. You can check out the blog at scavengerlife.com for the links we discuss and to join the conversation on the forum. You can call and leave a question on our voicemail line. Again, the phone number is 540-407-8486. You have 3 minutes to leave a message or call back again and you've doubled your time. We post an episode every Monday morning. On Wednesday, we post a What Sells video that shows what sold, how much it sold for, currently being brought to you by Stephen Schultz, the amazing. Subscribe to us through iTunes or YouTube so you always get the latest episode. And we are ending this podcast in 3, 2, 1.